Here quick. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chiropractic Compass podcast presented by the legendary Chiropractor online community. I'm your host, Johnny Reuter, and we are here tonight with our very special guest, Dr. Robin Hale, who is practicing chiropractic out in Kansas and who graduated from Cleveland Chiropractic College back in the day. And she is here with us tonight to talk all the details that you need to know and be aware of when it comes to compliance and chiropractic care, including Medicare and all sorts of different things that you need proper and correct in your practice to run it successfully. So, Doc, I want, with no further ado, please give yourself a brief introduction, who you are, where you come from, and how you got into chiropractic.
All right, cool. So yeah, my name is Dr. Robin Hale. I do practice. I've got full-time practice in Hays, Kansas, right in the middle of America here. I originally from Eastern Colorado, born and raised in Eastern Colorado, pretty much sports fanatic my whole high school, growing up in high school. So as you can imagine, I was injured a lot, which means I was, in my family, that means chiropractor a lot. So, it's just the way I grew up. If I wasn't going to the chiropractor frequently, I wasn't playing on the weekends. So, I actually went to college, started college here in Kansas as a pre-med major, thinking, okay, I just knew I wanted to help people. And I had an injury, silly injury in the dorms. I'm not going to get into details on that, but
I'm sure we would all like to hear that, however.
Yeah, you can just imagine.
Absolutely.
So I went to the student health clinic, and he looked at my knee and was like, boy, yeah, that's pretty bruised. Don't walk on it. Here's, take some ibuprofen. And I don't know if you remember. Well, see, you're still in college. It's hard to get around campus without walking.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah. I just happened to have an appointment with my chiropractor, who I got established with, right when I came to town and started school. So I happened to have an appointment with him that day. I walked in there. I didn't say a word about my knee. I just got on the table because I was there for my tune-up. And within probably 10 seconds, he said, "What's going on with this knee?" And so I told him the story, and he got me up off the table and he x-rayed the knee, make sure, he was kind of worried that my kneecap might have been cracked. He x-rayed it, checked it out, was cool with, nothing was broken. So put me back on the table, adjusted it. And I decided right then and there I was going to chiropractic school.
Isn't it funny how that worked?
It was. Yeah. I was like, I went and told my advisor that, and he's like, "You're insane." And I was like, "Yeah, but you know what? I went down here and he did nothing. And I went over here, didn't even say anything about it. And he took care of the problem." So like, why wouldn't I want to do something where I'm actually hands-on, where, I'm actually caring for people. I'm actually making a bigger difference, not with the drugs and surgery type of aspect, but for something that's going to improve quality of life. So, so I started at Cleveland, I think about a year later, graduated in 2003. And after a few years of practicing in Kansas City, I was fortunate enough to run into my chiropractor from college. And he said, "Hey, have you thought about moving back to Hays, Kansas?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, I'm looking to retire soon, and you would fit right in here." So, I was like, why wouldn't I want to go back there? That's where it all began for me. So, I came back to Hays, worked with him for a lot of years and learned the business, and now I own it. So that's where I'm at.
That's awesome. Wow. Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal story.
Yeah.
College injury, those will do it. Those will do it to you.
Yeah. Dorm shenanigans.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk, before we dive deep in here, I want to talk a little bit about one thing that you said was quality of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And restoring that for not only yourself and living it, but also being able to do that every single day of your life. How cool is that in chiropractic, right?
Oh, man. For those of you that haven't gotten out there yet, or if you're sitting in class all day and you're thinking, why in the world am I doing this? Well, I sure hope that it's worth it. I'm telling you, it is worth it. And
Yeah.
there's no way to describe it until you get into it and you just start seeing the miracles that we are a part of every single day. So stick with it. It's all worth it.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I had to talk about that because I think that's really important. And even, the slightest thing, taking some strokes off your golf game or, being able to brush your hair in the morning or anything like that, all of that pertains and relates back to quality of life. And I think it's really important that chiropractic plays a role in that for us.
Sure.
And so without wasting too much time here with an intro, I want to dive deep because you know a lot about a lot.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk first about your story, your personal story. You say in your bio, you talk about a Medicare kind of issue, and you also talk about success, getting to success out of a state of resentment. And I want to just have you talk about that with us and where that all started and how it happened.
Okay, so this is a very kind of long, drawn out story, and I'm not going to bore you with all of the details on it, but I'm going to give you enough details so that everybody understands and realizes not only the importance of really knowing how to document well, really knowing how to make sure that your offices are compliant, and we'll talk more about that a little bit in detail in a bit. But also so that everybody that's watching can realize that you need to have a tribe around you, because when you get in those lowest of lows, it's that tribe that's going to pull you up out of it. And they're gonna pull you up out of it, and then they're gonna celebrate your successes with you. So like I said, I came back, to Kansas to take over this practice that I was a patient at one time. Very, very successful practice. He plugged me into the systems. The systems work fantastically. The staff has been here for a long time. I just plugged right in and picked up, and I was really, really rolling. But about the time also that I came into the practice, it was about 2006. So it was just a little bit before that time when Medicare kind of started changing up some of their requirements for chiropractors. Okay. And again, you guys in school right now, you're not going to know that kind of stuff that went on back then. But since, the systems that were going on in our office were working so well, and the patients loved what we were doing for them, it wasn't really a time that we were paying attention to what changes in Medicare were going on. Okay. We knew that Medicare was after chiropractors, or was starting to come after chiropractors. They kind of go after different factions and say, okay, what are you guys screwing up? We're going to nail you. We're going to take a bunch of money from you, and then we'll move on to the next group. Okay. So this was about the time, they were going to start looking at chiropractic, because we tend to be pretty poor on our documentation. They know that they can get money back from us. So, we just kept going with our systems. We didn't keep up with the changes that were going on with Medicare. And the other thing is that, the doc that I came to take over for, he had passed a Medicare audit in the past. So everybody was like, all right, we're cool. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. And so I use the term comfort leads to complacency. You have to be very careful. You have to be keeping up on things that are going on. And if you don't keep up on things that are going on, then it will sink you. Anyways, in 2012, I got my first request for documentation from Medicare. I sent in a gigantic box of documentation. I believe it was about 9 months later. I didn't hear anything from it. About 9 months later, I was asked for another batch of documentation. So I sent a giant box of paper. Okay. It was a year and a half later, and Medicare cut off my reimbursement. Wow. I still have no idea what's going on. Okay. But they cut off my reimbursement the next day. And we see a lot of Medicare. Okay. I'm 100% activator practice. So we see a lot of Medicare patients. Okay. They cut off my reimbursement. The following day, we got a stack of letters in the mail and I'm not exaggerating, it was probably 2 foot high.
Jeez.
And it was asking for documentation on this claims that I just sent in. I was now in a prepayment audit. Okay. So before I was able to get paid on what I was doing, they were going to look at my documentation and they were going to approve or disapprove of it. Well, long story short, everybody that I talked to in the profession that was supposed to be an expert on this kind of stuff could not tell me what was wrong with my documentation. So through trial and error, and after a year of not getting paid by Medicare, even though I was continuing to see those patients, I finally broke the code. There's a lot of people out there now that know, okay? But back then when this was going on, everybody was caught off guard. Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody could tell me what needed to be changed. So kind of through a trial and error process, I cracked the code and figured out how to finally pass this prepayment documentation audit. So that's kind of where the whole down in a hole story comes from. As you can imagine, I didn't get paid for what I was doing for a year. I can't figure out what's going on. Nobody in the profession is able to help me, or at least the people that I thought were supposed to be experts were not able to help me. I was figuring this out on my own. Still a pretty relatively new doc in practice. And so, you know, even though I got past that part of it, then I also get another letter telling me that I now owe Medicare back a huge sum of money. Because then they said, okay, remember those 2 boxes of stuff you sent us 2 years ago? We decided that none of it was good enough. You get to pay all that money back.
Jeez.
So not only was I not getting paid by Medicare and doing work, now I owe back hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there's no end in sight.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I'm buried. I'm not only in a hole, now I'm buried.
Yeah.
So, you know, I did get a little bit resentful. You know, I got a little bit resentful about the profession. I got a little bit resentful about those Medicare patients that got me there. And even though it wasn't their fault, that's where my mind was. Okay.
Right.
I was wanting to get out of the business. I was trying to figure out what could I do to make money elsewhere so I can not only pay this money back, but I get my life back. But every time I tried to figure out what is it that I'm going to do, what is it I'm going to do, I always came back to chiropractic. There is nothing else on this planet that I would rather do than provide chiropractic care. So I was like, all right, I gotta figure it out. I have to turn this around. I have to figure it out. And it just so happens that I was at my lowest low, and I happened to see a blog by Dr. Barbara Eaton, who was on your show last night.
Yep.
And it was assigned to me. The title of that blog was, "Are you really doing the best that you can?" And for some reason that hit me in the face. And I said, no, I don't think I am. You know, I got to do something. So I got on the phone with Dr. Barb. I told her the story. She treated me like a human being. Okay. She took she asked so many questions and so many details and found out everything about me. And she cried with me, and she had to go let her dogs out to pee in the middle of the conversation. And I tell her that all the time, because I'm like, that's what got me with you. It's like, you're a real person. Like, you're this real person. Even you have to go let your dogs out to pee in the middle of stuff.
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, long story short, I started coaching with Dr. Barb immediately. And you know, then that kind of leads us to the whole tribe and the mindset thing. And that's really what brought me out of that dark period. And I'm killing it right now. That's all.
Awesome.
And we can talk more about that into details, but I'm telling you, I'm killing it because I've got Dr. Barb, I've got a mentor, I've got a tribe, and they love seeing me succeed as much as I love seeing them succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. What a story. I mean, the power of not only you to persevere through that, I think is really important to hold light to. And I think that your attitude now today, after what you've been through, is very powerful, and it's very moving. So if there are docs out there, if there are students out there that just feel like, you know, even a student, you know, you're not going through a Medicare crisis, but you're, you know, sometimes you get down in the books, and sometimes you get down in classes and tests and boards and stuff. You know, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And sometimes it takes a little longer to find it. Sometimes it takes, a long time, but it's there and you just got to keep pushing. And I think that your perseverance, I'm going to say that again, was really, really admirable. And I think that students and docs can both learn from your success that you have now that you didn't have, but you came into, right?
Right.
Because you put the work in to get here.
So I'm going to interrupt you just for a second, and I want to let you know something too. My audit process is not finished.
Interesting. Yeah.
It started in 2012. This is 2019.
Wow.
It's still not over.
Yeah.
I'm still in the appeals process, and I've been waiting 4 years for a hearing with the judge. So again, I'm stuck in this holding pattern for so long. And again, because of being brought up out of that, and realizing that, hey, I have to work harder. I have to do better for myself. I have to do better for my patients. So even though that's still going on in the background, it's not even on my radar anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with it. I'm dealing with it very successfully. And no matter the outcome on that, I'm fine. I will be okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. So I want to circle back to a couple points that you made. Comfort leads to complacency. And I could not agree more. We are actually, my quarter is actually in an ethics class right now, ethics and boundaries class. And we talk a lot, or we have been talking a lot about, ethical and morally acceptable things as chiropractors, and what is not, what's lawful, what's our scope of practice, and everything like that. And I think that all of that ties back into comfort leading to complacency, right? You see the same patient over and over and over and over again, and you forget to stop asking certain questions. And it's like, oh, it's just Bob, we'll be fine, and then Bob might not be, right? So I think you want to talk a little bit about that. Like, how do you continue to be on top of your A game when it comes to histories and clinical wisdom, when it comes to literal patients, right?
So there's maybe a couple of ways that I could approach that question. But this is how I kind of interpret it, and this is the way I'm gonna approach that.
Go with it.
So if you're there's a lot of philosophical discrepancies, or a lot of philosophical arguments going on in chiropractic right now. And the main thing that I want to say about that is, again, I do see a lot of Medicare patients. I see a lot of insurance, and it works well for me. But what I want people to realize is that I can do that, and I have circled back around, and because of the help of Dr. Barb, and with the help of Tristan and Cairo Sushi, and that's a whole nother topic, summer camp, but because of the things that I have learned from this group of people, these go-getters, these people that have been there, done that, I was able to circle back around and not only grow in the Medicare and insurance practice, but I've been able to do it and not lose my philosophy of chiropractic.
Yep.
Okay. And in fact, it's even grown my philosophy, and it's even made it deeper. Okay. And if you know how to play that game, and that's what it is, it's a game. But when you know how to play that game, then once you kind of settle in there and you know what the details are that the insurance and Medicare is looking for, you can not only play the game correctly, but you can also prosper and thrive in this game. Okay. It's all about not shying away from it. It's all about, it's about not saying, well, I'm not going to treat a Medicare patient. I'm only going to see this group of people over here or whatever. Because mostly I think a lot of people are scared of Medicare. But again, it comes down to being very, very solid in your philosophy, and being very, very solid in your confidence in what chiropractic care can do. Okay. And I know that takes some experience, and I know that, it takes some time to just start seeing patterns, and it takes time to work with a lot of different patients and see what happens. But when it comes down to it, everybody everybody's body works the same way, right? We got our brain, we got our nervous system, the brain talks to the body. If there's interference there, then there's going to be a problem. Okay. And the more patients that you see and the more patterns that you start seeing, you start going, okay, I know what's going to happen with this person next. I know what's going to happen. It's almost like reading. I can read them like a book at this point, because if you're paying attention to those things and you're paying attention to your philosophy and what the body does, then you just almost know what to expect with everybody that comes in the door. Yeah. And so then you can take that information and you can plug that into whatever Medicare wants, play the game with them, and then you actually do your work when you're talking to the patient. Okay. Yeah. So you just kind of get into the systems where it's like you know what to ask them. Okay. It's like, okay, this is almost like it's visit 3. This is what I'm expecting to see. Okay. Visit 6, I'm almost expecting to see that. Almost within 1 or 2 or 3 visits, you just kind of expect to know what is coming. And then, once you get, into those a little bit later visits, then, to be like, okay, it's time to start teaching them their at-home exercises. It's time to start teaching them about strengthening the neck muscles. It's time to start teaching them about the posture and the spinal hygiene and that kind of thing. So there are some days where I almost want somebody to challenge me with something different. And I know that seems crazy, but you're going to start seeing it the more and more people you work with. And again, it really comes down to just being really, really solid and knowing that what you're doing is working. Yeah. Okay. Don't let anybody scare you out of, oh my gosh, they haven't improved in 3 visits, I quit. Right. Okay? Right. Have total confidence in what you're doing and stick with your treatment plans with them. Okay. Stick with your care plans. Tell them what to do. And it's just, you be the doctor. Yeah. Okay. You be the one that guides them through it. And the rest of it just kind of falls into line. Absolutely. That may or may not have answered your question correctly, but that's where I went.
I think you nailed it. Let's jump into the next topic. You mentioned a tribe. You mentioned Dr. Barbara being your coach, being your mentor. How important is that to surround yourself with the right people to move yourself forward, celebrate your successes, but also, kind of bring you up from the dumps when you're down in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously you talked to Dr. Barb for quite a bit yesterday. She's got a presence about her, if you didn't notice. Okay. You see her all over the internet right now. You see her all over Facebook. And not everybody resonates with Dr. Barb. Okay. So I'm not saying that Dr. Barb is the answer for everybody. Find somebody that you resonate with. Okay. Yeah. Find somebody that gets you. And because if that person gets you, then the group of people that you're going to be surrounded by in this type of tribe is going to be the same type of person that you are. Okay. And Dr. Barb kind of interviews everybody and says, okay, you're going to be a good fit for the tribe, or I don't think you're necessarily going to be a good fit for the tribe. Okay. What you want to do is you want to be in a group of people, like I said, that are going to be there to lift you up and not people that are going to be dragging you down. Yeah. Okay? As you've probably heard this term before too, you become like the people you hang out with the most. Okay. Absolutely. The people that you surround yourself with the most. And in the tribe that I am in the 56-day chiropractic boot camp, to double your business, everybody in that tribe is out to double their business and more. And so how can you not get excited about that? Number one, it just makes you elevate yourself. Yeah. Cause it's like, I don't know. I imagine my son, when he was little, he was like chucking to try to keep up with the big guys. Okay. That's almost what the tribe makes you feel like. And the other thing too, though, is that everybody has, we all have our experiences. We all have our history. And so not only is the tribe helping us, but then we get to turn around and help people that somebody will throw a question out there and I'm like, hey, I got some expertise on this. Let me throw it at you. And everybody has their expertise in something. Okay.
Yeah.
So not only are they helping you, but it feels fantastic to turn around and help them back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think you nailed that. I think surrounding yourself with the right people, we talk about a lot on this show, specifically the Legendary Chiropractor online community has a free mentor up program, free mentoring and coaching. And it's powerful to surround yourself with people and to be able to reach out. Like Dr. Barb always says, if you reach out, I'll reach back.
Yes.
But you have to initiate that conversation. Yes. You have to initiate and take the first plunge, because it shows right away that you're wanting to learn, that you want more out of yourself, and you just don't know where to go next, except now you've reached out, you kind of have a first step. So absolutely. Yep. I love it. I love it. Surround yourself with the right people for sure. Yep. So let's talk about a compliance program and the importance of going through the Medicare trouble that it might be. So Medicare, to me as a student, is a lot. But my understanding, my very limited understanding of Medicare right now, is that if you treat patients, if a 65-plus-year-old patient walks into your door, you either have to give them a beneficiary notice and say that they're paying cash or doing whatever system you're doing, or they use their Medicare. I might be wrong on that, and I would love to be taught how it works. Because if I don't know, a lot of people probably, and my classmates probably don't know or have heard of this, and what happens with it. So talk about Medicare a little bit, compliance programs. Okay. I'll let you run with that for a little while.
Okay. So the importance of a compliance program is a compliance program comes down to having written policies and procedures. And I know that sounds really boring. Like, I don't get to talk about the fun stuff like Dr. Barb does. And I do private coaching now for Dr. Barb because of all of this history that I have. And so I teach, boot campers about compliance. And it is boring. And I try to make it exciting, but I can't always. But it comes down to having written policies and procedures. And the reason that you want that is because not only so that you always know the correct way to be doing things, but if you have staff members, you know how to train them correctly and everybody's doing the right things. Okay. And then it comes down to systems. So if everybody knows their job, then you can flow through this system almost seamlessly, and you still know that everybody is doing the right thing. Okay. And that's very important, because then we got to have policies and procedures about, are we billing correctly? Are we coding correctly? Do our codes match up with our diagnosis? Okay. Are we, and I'm going to kind of, I guess right now, kind of delve into the ABN, or the advanced beneficiary notice, because there is a lot of misconception about that. And so I'm glad you brought that aspect of it up, because the way that you stated that is not really correct. Okay. You're right there, but really the important thing that you have to understand when it comes to treating a Medicare patient, and again, this again circles back to your philosophy and knowing before you encounter this patient, is you have to be really solid in what you're doing so that you can teach them. Okay. And so what it comes down to is, with Medicare patients, is you have stages of active care and you have stages of maintenance or wellness care. Okay. And if you're going to treat a Medicare patient, whether you're participating or non-participating, the fact is that if they are in active care, you have to submit that to Medicare. Okay.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right. You don't get to just say, well, you're going to pay cash today because I don't want to submit this. That's not an option. If it is truly an active problem, then you need to be doing active care on them, and you need to be submitting that. Okay. Yeah. Once you have to come up with a treatment plan, which is going to include what we call functional goals. Okay. I don't know where you're at in your education, if you know the difference between functional goals and, But when you're coming up with functional goals for a Medicare patient, especially, what we got to come up with is specific things that we want them to be able to do by the time we're done with active care. And it doesn't have to be difficult. Okay. Mabel wants to be able to bend over and put her shoes on.
Yeah.
Or Mabel wants to be able to comb her hair. Okay. Mabel wants to be able to do housework for an hour a day. Okay. So those have to be included in this treatment plan. And then once Mabel's able to do those things, then guess what? You get to finish up with their active care, and then you get to teach them what maintenance and wellness care is.
Right.
Okay. And it's at that point where you can have them sign that ABN, that advanced beneficiary notice, letting them know that, okay, we're no longer actively working on a problem here. We're not actively trying to get you to your functional goals, but let me tell the importance about what maintenance care and wellness care is. Okay. Yeah. And if you can seamlessly transition them, and by the time, when you first start with them, you start planting the seeds about that. Okay. So by the time you get through their treatment plan and you finish up with that, then they're asking you for maintenance and wellness care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And that's what you want, is by the time you're done with those, whatever, 10 or 12 or 14 visits in that active treatment plan, maybe not that many even, then they're going to say, well, you know what? I think it would be a good idea to come in maybe every other week or maybe once a month. And you're like, Mabel, that's a fantastic idea. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And at that point, if it's maintenance care, then they're going to be asking to pay you. Okay.
Yeah.
You have them sign that ABN and you do a maintenance visit on them, and they will gladly hand you cash to do that. Okay. Here's the other thing that people don't realize is that if they become active again, if they have a new incident, you can start active care again. Okay. You can restart that active care. You can start up a new treatment plan. Maybe it only lasts 3 or 4 visits this time. Okay. Get them to their functional goals again. And then guess what? Let's get back into maintenance care. Okay. And Medicare patients love what we do for them. Right. They absolutely love it. If we want to talk about quality of life, Medicare patients are the ones that we are giving quality of life to. So I really want to stress that, guys, don't be scared of Medicare. I mean, Medicare patients love what we do. They're the ones that they pay, they stay, and they refer, and they bring you baked goods at Christmas time. I'm telling you, it's like a revolving door of the bakery at Christmas time, because these people love us so much that they treat us like their family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So please don't be scared of Medicare. Okay. Learn how to play that game and capitalize on it and take care of these people that love our care.
Yeah. And I think you, the quality of life is so important. And we talked about it at the beginning of this show. We've been going for about 30 minutes, 35 minutes here, but the quality of life for Medicare patients is vital to not only their survival, but it's also vital to how they feel, their pride, right? How they go about their day. And, 65 is the new 50 or whatever you want to say. It's young. It's a young age these days, because more and more people, as Dr. Barb and I talked about last night, are starting to realize that the alternate wellness care is better. Preventative care is better for you than the reactive care, right? And I think that Medicare patients get it. I think they get the big idea, or that age group gets the big idea faster than anyone else. Maybe kids beat them, but the the older population definitely gets that big idea very quickly. And do you see results, right? I mean, like, talk about some results that you see in your office. No matter what technique you do, you're constantly probably producing results for people, and those functional goals are probably just being checked off one after the other. I mean, right? Oh yeah. And I'm seeing it a lot right now. So just is kind of standing out in my head, but the number of little old ladies that come in and say, I got to get out in my garden. It's fine. It's finally getting nice out and I want to be outside in my garden. And if I can't be out there, then I'm miserable. So I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of that, and I'm seeing a lot of baseball players right now.
Okay, but the start of baseball season, and so you always get that change of sports seasons, and so you and I see a wide range. I see um I see the other day I saw the twins, and they're 4 weeks old, and I got done with them and I turned around and walked in the other room and I treated a lady that was 92 years old.
Awesome.
So
I love
if
it.
if you can't get excited about that, I don't know, you're maybe you're in the wrong profession. But yeah, it's in parents of the twins are ecstatic because of the progress that they've made from from the get-go. They were having really colicky and constipation, and man, they're coming around and they're doing fantastic. And then I got Bessie over here who's 92 years old, and she wants to be out in her yard.
Right.
So I don't know, it's just so rewarding. And
Absolutely.
and I'm going to throw this detail out here too. And I always keep this stat with me because it's another thing that I want people to be paying attention to. Do you know right now that there's currently 49 million people on Medicare?
Wow.
And in 2020, there's going to be 64 million.
Wow.
And in 2030, there's going to be 80 million.
Yeah.
That's a huge chunk of the population.
It's just going to keep going. Yeah.
It's just going to keep going. And if you don't understand what Medicare is wanting from us, and you're turning away those people because you're scared of Medicare, look at the chunk of population that you're missing out on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you, Doc. Thank you. I want to do some closing statements. Do you have action steps? How can people get in touch with you? We've been going for about 40 minutes here, and I want to wrap it up. How can people better communicate with you so that if they have questions or something, I know you said you mentioned some coaching that you're doing now on the side. Give me any information that we can share with the audience here, because I think it's important that they know and understand what you're talking about. And people might not have questions now. It's like how it goes in class, right?
Yeah.
Your teacher's like, you have any questions? No. And then a week later, you're like, I don't know what's going on in this class.
Yeah.
So any action steps that they can take to get in touch with you or better their compliance program now in their office?
I do want to say this too for you guys in school. They don't teach you stuff in school, or at least they sure didn't when I was in school. And I'm not too sure that it's too fantastic right now.
Right.
Okay. I mean, the purpose of school is to get you to pass boards and get your license. Okay. So this kind of stuff is not like a huge topic in school. And like you just said, we might talk about it right now, but it's not going to make sense until you're actually in the fire. Okay.
Yeah.
So I do private coaching for Dr. Barb in the boot camp, but we're working on expanding that so that anybody has access to that. Really the best way to get a hold of me at this point is just through my email, which is docrobindc@hotmail. DocRobindc@hotmail. Okay.
Awesome.
You can also, I'm going to go ahead and throw my cell phone number out there because I get texts all day long. I get private messages on Facebook a lot. Okay. People see that, I'm answering questions throughout Facebook groups all over the place. Cause if I see a misconception thrown out there, then I'm going to jump in there and say, no, that's not the way it is. I don't want misinformation to be spread around. So I do comment a lot on stuff. And so I am all over Facebook, and you can private message me on there. And you can find me on Facebook, and my name on there is Robin McNeely Hale. Okay. And hopefully that's kind of easy to find. I know sometimes it's hard to search people out on Facebook, especially when you have a middle name in there. But yeah, I'm all over Facebook, just trying to jump from this group to that group and just spread knowledge as much as possible so that we have the right things being spread around. What you got?
Uh-oh. We lost her. Uh-oh.
You lost me?
Hold on 1 second. I'm not sure what's going on here. Give me 1 second. Let me invite her back to this.
I think I'm still here. I'm still here. Are you still there? that
Oh,
work?
wow. I don't know what happened.
I don't know either.
That was crazy. All right. Well, anyways, I was just reading people your email. So the best way to get a hold of Dr. Robin while she is working on her coaching program is to, okay, we're good. We're live. So we're still live. So email her, drrobindc@hotmail.com. And that is going to get you in touch with her. If you have any personal questions about your practice or anything like that, she'll let you know if she can help you or not. And also find her on Facebook, Dr. Robin. I think it's Robin McNeely Hale at on Facebook. So find her on there. And she said you're more than welcome to message her. And last but not least, do you have a closing remark that you'd like to just say to people to cover our bases here?
I have lots of closing remarks. I'll try to narrow it down to one. When it comes time to go out into practice, don't jump at the first thing that comes along. Okay. If it doesn't feel right to you, if things don't seem kosher, if it doesn't seem right, don't jump on something that just doesn't seem right. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the reason that I say that is because we're seeing a lot of boot campers that are jumping into associates or independent contractor type positions, and then they get in there and they realize that things aren't going. Things are happening in these practices that they're not comfortable with, and what I'm talking about is compliance type issues. Okay, so just be really diligent in looking into whatever situations you might be being offered. And if you're not finding something that seems really comfortable and a really great deal, don't be afraid. Do not be afraid to go out on your own.
Right.
Because there are so many people out there that will help you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't feel like you are alone. If you want to jump out and hang your shingle out and get to work, there are so many people that will help you do that. Okay. Yeah. The tide has turned in chiropractic care. We used to say when I was in school that chiropractors eat their young. Meaning we all got out of school and was like, oh, what the hell am I supposed to do now? Okay.
Yeah.
And it is so different now. There are so many of us out there that want to see the profession succeed and new doctors succeed so that we can just keep, get more people in our doors. So reach out for help and don't get in a situation that you don't like just because you think it's the only one that your only option.
Yeah, okay? Absolutely. Great points. Don't jump the gun, and don't be afraid to go out on your own. And also don't be afraid to say no. I think that a lot of times we're fresh out of school and we're looking for an opportunity and we think it's perfect. Our gut says yes, innate says yes, whatever you want to say. And we just jump at it. But be able to say no, be able to hold yourself accountable and be responsible when you're making a decision like that. Because it's a decision for almost a lifetime, right?
It could be. And if you get caught up in something that you don't want to be caught up with, you're just as responsible as the one that told you to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. There's no really good way out of that, huh?
Right.
Yeah. So, Doc, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. Thank you for everything that your wisdom, your expertise on Medicare, compliancy. I love it. I love this topic. It's a tough topic, I think, to talk about because a lot of people either one aren't aware, like me as a student, or two are I don't want to say ignorant, but ignorant to the fact of like there are rules and regulations to these certain things. And sometimes they're a little hard to keep track of when you're maybe out in practice and you're seeing 500 a week or whatever your goal is or whatever. And so I think that we get caught up in the hoopla a lot. But Doc, I want to thank you again so much for being on. Yes, I'm going to do a shameless plug here. Head to thelegendarychiropractor.com/mentor up for free coaching and mentoring. Also be aware that we are hosting a job board come the end of April. We will be having huge updates to thelegendarychiropractor.com, and docs will be able to post a job there, as well as students be able to find a job on the legendarychiropractor.com. So I personally am very excited for this, and I know that it's going to benefit a lot of students, and I hope that you choose to utilize the resource that you have available, the legendarychiropractor.com, the one-stop shop for everything chiropractic. So, Doc, with that being said, thank you so much. We're going to end this broadcast. Yes. We almost already did accidentally, but thank you so much for being on, and we will talk in the very near future here.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you, Doc.